Welcome to One-on-One with Expert Flyer. I'm your host, Lisa Caslin, and today we're talking about the U.S. travel ban on electronics on flights leaving from certain Mideast and North African geographies. We have a special guest. Please help me welcome Gary Leff. Gary is best known as the author of the popular frequent flyer blog, A View from the Wing, and he's going to shed some light on a survey that we did with some of our subscribers on this topic. Welcome, Gary.
Well, thank you. It's an important and timely topic. It affects a lot of travelers, and actually, surprisingly, the number of respondents in this survey, the number of folks that Expert Flyer went out to talk about the electronics ban, are in fact the really targeted, high-frequency business travelers that are flying these routes.
Yeah, thank you for acknowledging that. It is true. And I just wanted to maybe get into that a little bit because, we wanted to understand now that it's been, over a month or so since this all came into effect, what was going on out there. And, the first question that we asked was, are you planning to fly from or through any of these affected airports? And we were surprised that 40% said yes, but you weren't that surprised, right?
I mean, knowing that this is a pretty targeted audience. I mean, business travelers. I mean, most business travelers are domestic business travelers. But if you're really engaged in your travel, flying around the world, the people that are being reached out to in the survey, are indeed international travelers. And these are huge major world hubs. The Mideast has grown tremendously. It's a place that's really efficient for connecting, not just between here and India and Pakistan, but even to Asia from the east coast of the U.S. It's just a very efficient place, and so people really do fly through these airports all the time.
Okay, so having said that, our next question was, are you planning to change your plans getting from point A to point B now that this is affecting you? And again, another 40% said yes. So we really wanted to get your top tips for how do you circumvent this issue? How do you still get from where you are to where you need to be in the U.S. without having to leave your electronics behind in your computer?
Now, I mean, this is going to be a problem for some people that you can't circumvent, because if you're traveling with your computer and your employer doesn't allow your computer to be outside of your possession, I mean, you're not going to be able to circumvent the electronics ban. It's going to be often something that people that deal with sensitive intellectual property or people who deal with high-level security clearances simply can't get rid of their computers. And the reason for that is, even if it's encrypted and it's very well protected, you don't know what kind of malware is being installed on the machine, while it's outside your possession. There's a reasonable reason for these kinds of rules, but for people who have the flexibility either not to, take that machine, there are a lot of things that you can do to make your travel better, more productive. First of all, it is possible to turn your smartphone into a computer, right? I mean, these are computers that are orders of magnitude more powerful than those that sent people to the moon.
It's true.
Right? You need non-electronic devices that you can attach. You can attach keyboards to smartphones. You can attach a mouse to a smartphone. Again, these have to be non-electronic peripherals, because you don't want those to be taken away. But you can use your own phone as a computer. I'd also say that when you fly, for me, I find it much harder to fly less connected during the business week in the U.S. than at other times. So if I'm traveling long haul on a 14, 15-hour flight, Friday night through Monday morning even, which frankly are often times where you're going to be taking these flights at the end of the business week or to position yourself at the beginning, those times are much more convenient because they're less pressing in terms of the work that might need to be done. Any catching up that you need to do, you might be able to just do with quick responses to emails off of a phone, in a way that you couldn't when you're actually having to consult documents that are on a computer, where you might have to be working on spreadsheets, which are harder to do even with airlines that are giving you, or at least the premium cabin passengers, in-cabin electronics, whether a tablet or a laptop on a borrowing basis.
Okay, fair enough. That's practical advice. And we also should we acknowledge that some of these airlines are offering premium customers this option, but many of our subscribers were not feeling too good about that option.
Sure. No, and to me, it's not at all a replacement. You don't have access to your hard drive. Maybe you have, you may not want to stick your hard drive onto a USB, and depending on the device you're given, you may or may not be able to access it, but you don't want to leave any traces of your files. There are real security reasons for that. It's not as easy to do real business on a tablet as it is a computer. It's not as easy to work on someone else's computer versus the one that you're familiar working with, that have all of your, your documents, you have all of your software programs. They're not going to preload apps onto these devices that, match your usual needs. So it's not the same thing as being productive on a laptop. It's not a replacement.
Okay. And before we let you go, any kind of creative routes that would still allow you to take your laptop with you?
Yeah, right. So, I mean, if you are, first of all, if you're connecting through the Gulf, you can connect through other places. If you're in India, Air India has nonstop flights to North America. You don't have to go through, through the region. If you're originating there, or you're even connecting through there, fly, the Emirates flight to Milan or to Athens that goes on to New York rather than the nonstop to New York. You can still fly Emirates out of Dubai. You can fly routes between the Gulf and Canada, connecting down to the U.S. The electronics ban does not apply on inbound flights to Canada. So any connections that basically do not involve a nonstop flight from the affected airports will allow you to still use your electronics, even if they're departing those airports, ultimately bound for the U.S. and even on the ultimately affected airlines. I've noted some of the sort of strange things that are allowed given the airports that are banned. You can fly Azerbaijan Airlines from Baku to New York, so you can fly Dubai to Baku to JFK, and that's somehow okay. But departing Abu Dhabi, where the U.S. oversees the security because it's a free clearance airport, where we're so confident in security that you get off in the U.S. as though it's a domestic flight and don't go through any more security. You already cleared immigration and customs. Where in Abu Dhabi, the U.S. has has a video feed and audio in this area where they're watching the security process and they manage it. That's somehow not okay. But Baku and Lagos, Nigeria are fine. Right?
Go figure.
But we just have to deal with it the best we can.
We do. Well, listen, thank you so much for adding your wisdom and expertise. We would love to have you back again. As always, have a great day and have a great trip in New York.
Great. Thanks so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.